AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
And a good morning to you, race fans. Welcome to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. You guys had some pretty big customers through the doors this week.
Oh, man, this Silver Dollar Nationals, this gets bigger and better every year. But before I go into that, yeah, we had a lot of Lucas Oil late model drivers. We had some USMTS drivers. Jason Fegers, the number 25 cheap cars late model. Yeah, the only thing I can say is he might have looked good last night, but I will finally admit I think I found the one person that you could beat on the go-kart
really?
track.
Yes!
He went through the wall, under the wall, around the wall, and I asked him at one time, I was like, Jason, are you racing or are you a wall inspector for a go-kart track? But I tell you what, he was really, really nice. And then we had Todd Staley from the USMTS, president and owner. He came in and he just had a blast. That was Friday afternoon. And then Jason Hughes, he came on in, super nice. You know, the one thing I did notice, we have a lot of local racers. You've met a lot of the local racers. But... And it's nothing against the local racers. We have a lot of top-notch, really class-act drivers. But when these Lucas Oil late model guys and these US MTS guys come in, it's almost like they talk and speak and act on a totally higher level. They were so respectful and so nice, and they kept calling me sir, and I was like, no. You're Jason Fegers. I call you sir.
It might have something to do with the fact that these bigger national guys don't know you. So their patience isn't worn thin like some of the local guys.
Good point.
This is the Front Stretch again, presented by Joe's Karting. We talk about it each and every show. If you have not got to Joe's today, get there and find out what Jason Fegers found out this weekend. Find out what so many USMTS guys found out, and so many have found out throughout the metropolitan area, that this is the best indoor karting facility. And Jason said it. He goes, I was really surprised how good these cars ran. The car, because normally when you go to these places, they're beat up and they're run down, they're poorly maintained, they're probably not safe at all. In fact, I'm going to take that probably out of it. They're not safe at all. But you guys do a really good job with keeping these things well maintained. And I talk about it so many times. The fact there's no governor is just, please don't ever give in to your insurance company honestly, and put a governor on them.
I was out doing something or other, and I came back to the track, and one of my track marshals, he looks at me and goes, hey, did you see who's on the track? And I've always been a big Fegers fan, but I've never seen him in person. The only thing I've ever seen of Fegers is him in the car. So I walked up to my track marshal, I go, no, who's that big old schlub? And he goes, that's Jason Fegers. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm Jimmy Johnson. He's not what you expect right away.
Very unassuming.
Very unassuming. So I go up there, and I was like, that ain't Jason Fegers. And Hunter goes, it's Jason Fegers. So I went up there, and so he gets off the cart, and right away I'm like, hi, sir. Hi, how you doing? And the very first thing he said was, I'm 210 plus pounds. And I started laughing. I was like, okay. He goes, I'm 210 plus pounds. He goes, and I can't believe that I can keep up with these young guys, these skinny guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just impressed.
The karts do really well with balancing that out. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, well, I'm fatter, so I'm going to go slower. And that's not necessarily the case. I've seen some big boys turn some fast laps.
We've had some 5'9" fat broke people, i.e. you, that still go slow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean...
All right, big show lined up for you today. Turn 4, we're going to, we were going to announce the Pick'ems contest next prize, but still waiting to get the final prizes, although you do have some O'Reilly Auto Parts gift certificates we're going to be giving out. Loudon, New Hampshire was the last race. Indy is the next race, the Brickyard 400. We're not going to do a short contest for that one. We're just going to stick with the overall, and then we'll pick the short contest back up after Indianapolis. So give us a call, or be paying attention attention for that. And then we'll also, turn number 3, we're going to talk Iowa Speedway with a couple of races coming up. Their final race weekend here in a couple of weeks. We're going to get we're going to hopefully get an update from Stan Cisar on Eagle Raceway last night. We'll find out what is going on there. I know they were running last night, so we'll get you an update on that. And then also in turn 2, we've got a lot of Silver Dollar Nationals audio that we're going to be playing between the top 3 winners. Couldn't get 4th. Who did finish in 4th, by the way? Do you remember?
4th was Berkey, I believe. Birkhofer.
No, he was 3rd. 2nd. Was that O'Neill?
Or Don O'Neill.
Okay, so Don O'Neill got 4th.
Fegers took 5th.
Right, so then we got Fegers. Then we got talk with Ben Shelton for one more time, which I think it's safe to say we're going to get him back on the show. Ben's a terrific.
And I heard your pre-race tour was outstanding.
Oh, that was really cool. That was a lot of fun. And I appreciate it a lot to Ben. I don't know if he's listening. I think he's actually hopping on a plane right now to head home to see his lovely wife.
I thought he'd be hopping on a plane to go hop on a plane to go hop on a plane, then to go home to see his wife.
He's headed back home right now to Tennessee, 3-day vacation, and then he's back to the dirt racing scene, flying back into Des Moines to drive a couple hours to his next location. And then in turn 1, we're going to recap Loudon real quick. I want to talk about this race team alliance that has formed in NASCAR between these owners. I wanted to do it on a live weekend because it's changing so quickly. So I just wanted to wait a couple of weeks. That's the reason why we haven't talked about it. So without further ado, quick recap from Loudon, New Hampshire. Jimmy Johnson still mad. Blew a right rear tire on lap 12, I think, and then blew
lap
another
17.
one. 17, there you go. And so the 48 team, rough day for those guys. And they pretty much just folded up the shop and went home and took an early vacation that day.
Oh, well, it made my NASCAR Pick'ems contest pretty good for my pick.
Yeah, and funny story behind that. I'll try to tell it as quick as I can, but I find it kind of humorous. But Dirk Husted took the 48 on Loudon, and he emailed me and said, for the spirit of competition, I'm going to take the 48. And as I've tried to do my very best, I said, okay, that's going to be your second time taking the 48. Maybe you want to save him for later on in the chase when you need that big win, and they're going to be at Charlotte, or they're going to be at Texas, or they're going to be at the 20 other different tracks that he is great at. I said, you haven't taken Tony Stewart yet. Why don't you take Tony Stewart and play it safe? He says, no, I'm gonna stick with the 48, and then I'll be fine. Well, then he got 2 points, and he fell from the lead to 7th in the overall, or in the 4-week Silver Dollar Nationals contest.
Kind of makes you want to go, I told you.
Well, but you know this. How often am I right versus I'm wrong?
Yeah. I
don't rub it in people's faces when I'm right because I don't want them to rub it back in my face the many a times I'm wrong. So, anyways, as soon as that tire blows, he sends me a message. Well, that was great. So anyways, the way it rolls out was Jason Longmire ended up winning the pit tour, courtesy of I-80 Speedway, Silver Dollar Nationals, and Ben Shelton. And so I emailed Jason and I said, hey Jason, congratulations, you won the pit tour. It's going to be Saturday at 4:00. Are you going to be able to make it? And he says, actually, I'm going to be at a wedding this weekend. I can't use it. I said, okay, no problem. Let's see, whoever was second. I can't remember who was second right off the top of my head. I said, do you want it? He says, I'm going to be on vacation in Minnesota. And I said, okay, well, it falls down to 3rd. Well, 3rd is Andrew Kaziski.
He's racing. He's going to be there.
Yeah, I said, Andrew, I emailed him. I said, I don't think you're going to need this. Am I right? And he goes, no, I don't think I need a pit tour. I'm okay. Thank you, though. So it falls to 4th. Well, 4th place was on vacation in Minnesota. Well, then it falls to 5th. 5th place was at a birthday party. Well, then it falls to 6th, and that person was out of town for the entire weekend at another area of, I can't remember what they were doing, so it falls to 7th place. Guess who was 7th place?
Dirk
Husted. So I was joking with him Saturday in the pits. I said, if he'd have just listened to me and taken Tony, it could have saved me a whole lot of grief. Yeah. So anyways, that was really cool to do that tour. Ben did a fantastic job with that tour.
I was going to say, speaking of Tony, he won last night in the sprint cars.
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah.
Won Friday night in the pit.
Up in Michigan, I believe.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Thank God NASCAR World can start talking about something other than Morgan Shepherd wrecking Joey Logano. I was pretty well sick of that storyline. So yeah, that was the Silver Nationals tour was really, really cool. It was something that was very fun, and I'm gonna try and do it for maybe the Midwest Fall Brawl and get some of them, get somebody with ASCS to do a tour like that. But I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that Ben's just such a nice guy, and he's so well versed, and he's so well spoken that it's going to be hard to replicate something like that. But it was really neat to walk around. We just basically did a lap in the pits and introduced us to who's running what chassis and, some of the kind of the feuds that are going on right now. And it was really, really cool interview or tour. So thank you. Big thank you to Ben Shelton. And please do me a favor and help out Ben a little bit. Go over to dirtondirt.com. You can watch races there. That's what Ben's main job is covering races on dirtondirt.com. He also does MSR Mafia, which is he promotes local tracks, local racers, and brings the community together to help pool this very, very small money that is in our sports. And then he also, just works with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series, or actually the World of Outlaw Late Model Series. So Ben does a great job with promoting our sport. If we had about 20 more Bens, this sport would probably be bigger than NASCAR.
It'd be 20 times better.
Exactly. That's good math you got there. All right, some more results from Loudon. Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano were the worst of the chasers to finish. Jimmy again finished 42nd. Joey finished 40th. Kevin Harvick next. He finished 30th, and then Jeff Gordon 26th. I'm sitting there watching that whole race, and I just kind of begin to feel like Brad Keselowski's in championship form again. And he is just dominating. It was embarrassing how none of these guys had anything for him on Sunday at Loudon. It was, I could not get over how good of a car he had. And this wasn't just a one-off weekend. He's had these good of cars about 4 or 5 times this year.
I noticed he wasn't just good in his cup. He was good in the nationwide race too. So that made me wonder, kind of like what you said, is he setting himself up for a championship run? Is he in championship form? Mm-hmm. Or was it quite honestly just a track that he just really excelled at?
Yeah. I think it was one of those combinations of both. He had the best car rolling off the hauler on Thursday, and he knew exactly how to get around Loudon. Kyle Busch came home second. Kyle Larson came home third. Matt Kenseth fourth. Ryan Newman fifth. Clint Bowyer sixth. Tony Stewart got himself a 7th place finish. Denny Hamlin 8th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 9th. And Dale Jr. 10th. So that's the way they rolled out. With Brad Keselowski getting his 3rd win on the season, that pole vaults him to your top-seeded driver because he does have more points than Jimmy Johnson now. So Brad Keselowski is now going to be your top-seeded driver. I think, do we have somebody on the phone? We got Stan Cisar on the phone. I tell you what, can we take a quick break and then we'll get to Stan? And then we'll get a recap of Eagle, and we'll come back and do a Silverado Nationals recap.
You're talking recap of Eagle. I want to hear about the fire hose rodeo last night.
I've seen so many videos of that. Let's do that. We'll talk to Stan coming up in turn number 2. We'll be right back on the front stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is heating up the menu with bold new sauces and fresh new flavors. Try the Southwest Fajita Salad, Steak on Steak Burger, or What the Fudge Bar Jar Sundae.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
Driving home from work, you try to beat your best time. Even though your neighbor started mowing first, you finish first. And when you see the shortest checkout line, you race to it. That's because there's a race fan in all of us. Experience a different kind of race at Iowa Speedway on August 2nd for the U.S. Cellular 250 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Tickets start at $20. Buy your tickets at iowaspeedway.com or call 866-RUSTY-GO.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
We're working the high line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
I'm still dancing from that Quaker Steak and Lube song. By the way, I got to give mad credit out to these guys. Listen, we've been talking about the Classic Car Cruising on Thursday nights. Chris broke a record for the 5th time this year with number of cars. He was actually...
I know there was a bunch there when I left.
281. A brand new record. 281 classic cars came through there between about 5 o'clock Thursday and about 9 o'clock that night. And he was joking with me that I think in the off-season he's going to have to pave that parking lot he's got to the south so that he could put customer parking over there and maybe even some classic cars over there starting.
It wouldn't shock me.
It's getting nuts.
As soon as he paves that, guess what? More's going to show up. More cars are going to show up.
Oh, yeah.
Because now he's going to have that extra room.
Yep.
But do you really feel like walking from that end of the block all the way to the other to get one of nice cold beer?
Oh, yeah, but that's not that far of a walk.
Maybe not for you.
50 feet. It's 50 feet. I mean, it's just because he just paid
Wait till you hit 40. 50 feet's going to feel like a quarter mile.
But, yeah, if you want to see some classic cars, it's absolutely gorgeous. Quaker Steak and Lube at Council Bluffs, one of the great sponsors of this show, and another great sponsor of this show, Iowa Speedway, helping us out one more time, giving us some tickets to give away for the August 1st and 2nd race. NASCAR K&N Series and the NASCAR Nationwide Series. It's the final race weekend. iowaspeedway.com for more ticket information or 866-RUSTY-GO. There's going to be, I'm hoping that I'm going to make it over there for the Saturday, August 2nd Nationwide race because those guys put on a heck of a show for the U.S. Cellular 250 presented by New Holland. 250 laps at Iowa Speedway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. All right, let's talk a little bit of local dirt track racing. On the phone with us now and joining us as we do every live show, it's our good buddy Stan Cisar, announcer for the for Eagle Raceway and the Nebraska 360 Sprint Cars. Stan, how you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Dan?
Doing pretty good. What do you got for results last night? How did it go over at Eagle Raceway?
Well, before we get into results, you guys were talking about the finish of that Solar Dollar Nationals last night. It was a pretty neat deal. We got over with well into our time limit last night, and I was able to catch part of that broadcast after that last caution on the FM channel. And you guys were talking about the top 5. What about that run by Billy Moyer Sr., who worked his way up, I believe, at the end of that race, and he, I think, cracked the top 5. He and O'Neill were having a battle, and I didn't remember exactly who picked up the 4th and 5th spot, but it was a good race. Good to see Bill have a good run out at I-80 Speedway once again, and Ben Shelton, it was great to catch up with some old times. Had a chance to work with Ben on some ASCS sprint car shows down at Eagle in years gone by. Ben is a great guy, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I know he's a lot younger than I am, but I don't know how he maintains that schedule that he does. He is all over the United States all the time.
We kind of talked about that.
The guy's like a machine.
Oh, we talked about that the last time. I mean, he does 12 days where he's every single day at a track, walking to the next one or heading over to the next one. And then he's, he gets a couple of days off here and there, and then he's another 15-day stretch, and then he gets a couple of days. I mean, it is insane.
I'd probably be crawling to the next one.
Amen.
I'll tell you what, you were talking about a pit tour at the Fall Brawl, and boy, that's going to be an awesome show coming up in September. That's the next 4-star event or 5-star event, you want to call it, at I-80 Speedway. That'll be coming up in September. Talk to Brian Halbert with ASCS, and I'm sure he could hook you up with some of the guys and be able to do along lines of the same thing. But let's get back to Eagle Raceway. We had Fan Appreciation Night. We had a packed house in there, and we'll get to the racing action. It was awesome as usual, but the Fire Hose Rodeo was off the charts. But 158 cars, I believe, in our 5 classes of racing action down there. Hobby Stock A feature going to Roy Armstrong, who picked up his first win of the season And that's quite uncommon for Roy, but the competition has been fierce in that hobby stock division this year. And Roy picked up that first win. He was a pretty happy guy down on the front stretch during the interviews. In the Napa Auto Parts Sport Mod division, Benji Lake picked up the win, narrowed that point race just a little bit, ever so slightly on Gary Sadoff. It's down to, I think, a 3-car battle. And all the points races, I believe the biggest margin between first and second in points down there this year is just right at 10 points going into next week's action. Modified feature, Johnny the Jet. Talked about narrowing the points race. Johnny going in 6 points behind Shane Hyatt, and he picked up his second consecutive A feature win in that IMCA Modified division. Johnny sat off in the Sport Compact, Justin Olson, who sets third in points in his rookie season in the Sport Compact division, sponsored by Sam's Club. And the Sprint A feature, just what an awesome race. 20 of the fastest guys out there came down late race caution flag. Adam Gullion had that race well in hand, coming back after being 5 pounds too light last Saturday night. And on the final turn of the final lap, Jason Martin snuck inside him and picked up the win probably in the last 20 feet of the race, and the fans were going nuts over that one. Our point leader, Clint Benson, struggled just a little bit, had to run a B main, which he won, started near the rear of that field. He and Doug Lovegrove raced pretty close to one another the whole night. Doug, I think, picked up 3 or 4 points on Clint in the points race, and after all the racing action was over with, we had the Fire Hose Rodeo. We had one representative from each class of cars that was going to ride the fire hose. And Cole Critchow came out from the Sport Compact division, gave it a pretty good ride. Then Josh Kennel came out in the Sport Mod division, gave it maybe even a little bit better ride. Sydney Yost came out, and I think they kept the pressure down just a little bit for Sydney because she was a female, but she hung on for the full 30 seconds.
I'm just looking at a Raggedy Ann doll on a fire hose with Sydney Yost. I'm like, I can't believe they put her on the hose.
The highlight of the evening, Eric McMullen out of the A-Mod division. Eric, who had a tough night all the way around. He got crashed out of his heat race. He ran the B main. He got taken out twice during the B main, still scratched and clawed his way up to a 5th place finish to transfer to the A, crossed the scale too light. So he didn't get a chance to make that A feature. He came out for the Fire Hose Rodeo. He gave it a 30-second rise, did a complete 360 in the air, and at the highest part of the swing, he was probably higher than the light poles down there.
Oh, my God.
And hung on to that thing. And at the beginning of his ride, he was doing it in the full rodeo fashion with one hand out waving at the crowd. And the crowd just completely went nuts at the end of his ride. And the great thing about it is Stephen Clegg got some video of that, and I'm sure that's going to surface someplace later on. The final competitor of the night scheduled to be Adam Gullion. Adam watched the first guy ride the fire hose. He said, "You know something?" He says, "I raced a sprint car over 100 miles an hour." He said, "There is no way I'm doing that."
He chickened out?
So Adam Gullion didn't take the ride, so we had to find a replacement. So who steps up to be the replacement? Our reigning Miss Nebraska Cup, who kind of helps us out with some of the announcing down there, Elle Patushka. And if you know Elle is also a member of the Omaha Roller Derby girls. She's up for anything. Elle strapped on the helmet. She got on the fire hose. She rode the fire hose 30 seconds, and on the last 5 seconds, the thing did a real small, tight 360, and she came off and did the face plant down in the mud, face down. She was uninjured, and she hopped right up, and the crowd gave her a standing O. And I'll tell you what a way to end the night down at Eagle Raceway.
When you said she was a part of the Omaha Roller Girls, I knew right away she could take a beating, because I did a charity event with them one year, and I for as thick of a guy as I am, I got taken out by one of them girls, and I was seeing stars for about an hour after that. I mean, there's some tough women in that roller derby, and obviously she's one of them.
She's one of them. I'll tell you what. And she said, she said, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I said, hey, way to go. My hat's off to you.
Way to step up
because I wouldn't have done it.
Eric, if I remember right, Eric McMillan, he drives the Shrek A-Mod, doesn't he?
He was in the Shrek A-Mod, and unfortunately, by the time the final checkered flag for him flew Saturday night, Shrek looked like he was ready to head for an operating table somewhere.
A little beat up?
Yeah.
He actually got almost as high as the light tower, or the light poles?
I'll tell you what, they gradually build the pressure on that fire hose. What they do is they hook the pressure hose up. They had a big lift, and they raise the hose. The hose hangs down probably 25, 30 feet. And all they got is a little seat that you sit on, and you hang on with your arms around it and feet around it. And, they increase the pressure, and first it's just kind of starts swinging back and forth. Pretty soon it starts whipping back and forth. Pretty soon it starts whipping a little higher back and forth. And twice, once with Eric and once with Al, it did a complete 360. The difference between the two was L's 360 was a little tight loop down at the bottom when the hose was hanging straight down. Eric's was in swinging mode when they shot the power to it, and it did a 360, and the fulcrum of the center of the circle was probably 15, 20 feet off the ground, and the hose did a 360, and he was on the bottom end of it. And he hung on for that thing, and the crowd went nuts. It was, I'll tell you what, we had that once before, and unfortunately had a not an injury, but pretty much bumps and bruises when a couple guys kind of came off the thing. But this year, it was quite a deal, and I'll tell you what, it's great to see once a year, but I wouldn't want to. I think the hospital bill might be too high if they had it very often.
Stan, let's talk sprint car action. I haven't been to Eagle Raceway this year. Our plans tentatively as of now is on Saturday nights coming back to Eagle next year in 2015. But with the Race Saver sprint cars in the past, when we had the 360s, you'd see your typical Dovers, your Bostons. You'd see the same 2 or 3 guys, it seemed like, every week that were a safe bet to be up front. This year in the Race Saver, is it quite a bit more diverse in the action, a little bit tighter pack, making it a funner show to watch?
It's very close competition, and with the exception of Jason Martin, who's the consummate pro, he's been around. He started at a very young age, and few people remember that Jason actually did race with the World of Outlaws for a number of years. Underfunded team, and he was in his learning curve, but he gained a lot of experience. And like I told him in Victory Lane last night, I applaud Mike Long down at Eagle Chassis for bringing him up into this area to be a fabricator, building the chassis down there in Lincoln, Nebraska. Not only a great welder and a great fabricator, but this guy can drive the wheels off of a sprint car. He has won this year. I believe with the ASS 360s, he picked up the win with us down at McCool Junction, down at Junction Motor Speedway. He's been on the front stretch 3 or 4 times with the Nebraska 360 Sprint Series, and whenever he bolts the 305 in and shows up at Eagle, he is a contender to win. And I think that last night was either his 5th or 6th A-feature win racing with the Race Savers down at Eagle. He came from last to 3rd at last year's Super Nationals with a borrowed 305 motor in the car, and he's going to be a contender. A couple other guys gave good runs last night. We already talked about Adam, who had what most people thought the race in the bag, but he finished in the 2nd position. Brandon Horton, a youngster from Omaha, had his best feature finish of the year, come home in the 3rd spot. And finishing 4th, Jake Bubach out of Arvada, Colorado, dropped into Eagle Raceway. He's entered in the Race Saver Super Nationals. Will be coming up over Labor Day weekend. Took off for a racing weekend vacation. They went over to Iowa State Fairgrounds Speedways on Friday night and picked up a 3rd place finish over there, racing with the Race Sabers. Stopped by Eagle on their way back, and another fine 4th place finish at Eagle. And he's going to be one tough customer. He's a 2nd generation driver. His dad, Rich Bubach, raced with the ASCS for years, and a lot of 360 sprint cars throughout the Midwest. And really nice young guy. They got a great team put together, and really love this 305 Race Saver division, and look forward to seeing him back at the Super Nationals coming up. I think the biggest difference, to answer your question, but I think the parity is a lot closer. The really good drivers and the really good chassis setups, they usually still are going to be around the top of the list at the end of the night. But I'll tell you what, the difference, I think, between that first place car, engine-wise and actual performance-wise of the car, and the 20th place car in the feature is much closer together than it had been in the past.
Do you see, with the Race Saver Nationals coming up here Labor Day weekend, can fans expect to see a lot more of these out-of-towners starting to drop in to maybe give Eagle a once-over before they come back for the Race Saver Nationals?
That would be kind of nice to see, and it's an awful long trip for some guys. I know our two longest tow awards already going to a driver from Virginia and a driver from North Carolina. We're going to have a slug of cars from Texas. We got a few coming down from Minnesota. Some Iowa cars will be coming over. A lot of cars from Oklahoma. Last year's winner, Kyle McCutcheon, was from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He races with a schedule kind of like Jason Johnson's. He'll bolt him to 360 when ASCS comes to town, and when there's a big Race Saver race, he'll put the 305 in. And he was pretty tough. And I haven't really heard yet. I didn't see his name on the pre-entry list, but he could be back this year to defend that championship.
Stan Cisar, announcer for Eagle Raceway and the voice of the ASCS Midwest Sprint Cars and the Nebraska 360s. You going to come down Thursday for the Nebraska 360s at Crawford County?
Yeah, we're going to head up to some old stomping grounds again, Crawford County Speedway, and join you up there for the fair races up there, which are always a good time. And this year they got late models and sprint cars. I think it should be a pretty good show.
I think it'll be a fantastic show. Nebraska 360s, the SLMR series, and B-Mods. So should be a great time. Stan, can't wait to have you join me in the booth and teach me a thing or two. I always love having you join us.
We will see you on Thursday night. See you, bud.
Thank you, Stan. Have a good one. And to follow up with what Stan said earlier, talking about the Billy Moyer, he did end up finishing fourth. We thought it was Don O'Neill. Don finished at sixth. So just to kind of correct that. And let's talk about that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back into turn number 3. We'll get a full recap of the Silver Dollar Nationals. So we'll do that here in just a few minutes as we roll on with the front stretch, presented by turn number 2, brought to you by Iowa Speedway. IowaSpeedway.com for all your ticket information. Can you believe it? The race weekend is almost here, and the race season is almost over for our favorite little 7/8 mile track down the road. 866-RUSTY-GO for more ticket information and pricing. This is the front stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
Driving home from work, you try to beat your best time. Even though your neighbor started mowing first, you finish first. And when you see the shortest checkout line, you race to it. That's because there's a race fan in all of us. Experience a different kind of race at Iowa Speedway on August 2nd for the U.S. Cellular 250 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Tickets start at $20. Buy your tickets at iowaspeedway.com or call 866-RUSTY-GO.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Turn number 3 brought to you by Kaziski Auto Parts, online at KaziskiAutoparts.com. And I think I passed the Kaziski Auto Parts hauler going home last night, and I gave it a little swerve, just to mess with whoever was driving it. But they have no idea who it was. Yeah. I talked to Joe Kaziski last night just before the features took off. I said, "Hey Joe, you want to get up tomorrow morning and join the show?" He says, "I can't hear you now." I just walked away. I think he's had enough of this weekend.
Yep.
I got to tell you. once again, they went off and take racing action out of it. The outside was really cool. The merchandise walk, they had a virtual simulator set up. They were having people were doing tests or doing 8-lap runs at Eldora Speedway. They had so much souvenirs and a couple of charities that we're actually going to get on the show here in a couple of weeks. Got to meet a lot of really cool people. Fantastic event, and I can't wait until next year already. We're 364-ish days away.
$32,000 to win.
From a $32,000 payday. Your top 10 as far as the Silver Dollar Nationals 80-lap late model feature event is concerned. Dennis Erb out of Carpentersville, Illinois, came home 10th. Steve Francis 9th. Iowa's own Chad Simpson 8th. Brandon Overton came home in 7th. Don O'Neill 6th. Jason Fegers 5th. Billy Moyer 4th. Jimmy Owens 3rd. Brian Birkhofer owned second place finish, and Scott Bloomquist ended up getting the win. Locally, we had Kyle Burke 32nd. Bill Layton Jr. 31st. Andrew Kaczynski 30th. Tad Pospisil 28th. Ryan Gustin 26th. He was coming.
What about Dylan Smith? I seen him up there in the 6 car.
That's in the 6 car. He's not listed on here though for the late models. In the 6 car?
I might have been looking at the non-qualifiers A feature, but I could have swore he was in the feature for the 80 lapper.
Nope. There's no 6 car in the feature. So 33 cars raced. Let's see, and then. Ryan Gustin. He was coming, but ended up, I think he blew a tire? No, I'm thinking of Dylan Smith. Gustin got involved in turn 1 wall.
Yeah, no, he blew a tire.
Oh,
blew
okay.
the right rear tire, which got him up into the wall. Gustin was coming, but I just don't think he had enough to catch Bloomquist. Bloomquist was straight. He was perfect. You didn't see him hanging it out.
No.
You didn't see him getting squirrely on the track. It was almost like the hand of God put Bloomquist's car on a rail. And it stayed there.
I think the hand of God was Scott Bloomquist. I think he knew exactly how to set that car up. We've got some audio we could play from the top 5 finishers, and then a couple of other people. So we will get to that in just a second. And then feel free to give us a call, 402-573-0590. I want to get your opinions on the racing action last night, your thoughts on the Silver Dollar Nationals. And actually, we got a guy on the phone right now who was the recipient of the pit tour for the Silver Dollar Nationals, courtesy of I-80 Speedway. Dirk, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Survived it all.
Hello, I think we all survived it, including a couple of drivers. What'd you think of the 2014 Silver Dollar Nationals?
Great race for 2nd through 5th.
Yeah.
Bloomquist kind of had him covered.
Absolutely, he did. Did you think at any point in time that anybody was going to take over, that somebody was going to catch Bloomquist, or was it pretty much a foregone conclusion that he just had that car?
I think it was pretty much a foregone conclusion because he was able to drive anywhere on the track. And Birkhofer had trouble trying to go low, but he could run the high side real good. And so when they got in the lap traffic, he'd struggle a little bit more, and that's when Bloomquist had opened his lead back up. But he was just talking about Dylan Smith running. Travis Dickey's ran Al Humphrey's car.
Oh, okay.
6T.
That would, because everybody's telling me it was Dylan Smith. I'm like, that don't look like Dylan sitting in behind the wheel. That looks like somebody else I know. Everybody kept telling me Dylan Smith. I will tell you one thing, not to go on a different side note here, Dirk and Dan, but I tell you what, Dylan Smith in the USMTS, that was the class of the field in that USMTS portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, to lead like that, go to the back, and come back and finish 6th, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And he put on a heck of a show, too. And the whole crowd, I mean, he had, about a straightaway to half a track's lead over second place when he blew that tire and ended up giving up the lead. And it was just a heartbreaker. Everybody wanted to see him win that thing.
A local boy, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Dirk, any other thoughts from the 2014 Silver Dollar Nationals?
No, thanks for the pit tour. It was informative. Ben seemed like a great guy, and we discussed quite a few things, and I'm already looking forward to next year's race.
All right, Dirk, I do appreciate you calling in, buddy. We're gonna get to some audio here with some of the drivers. Keep plugging along at the Pick'ems contest, and appreciate your support of the show.
All right, buddy. You guys have a good day.
You too. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot. If you want to give us a call and give us your opinion on the 2014 Silver Dollar Nationals, we'd love to hear from you. 402-573-0590. But first, let's hear from the guy who claimed the $30,000 payday. Scott Bloomquist finished first.
All right, well, we're in the pits with the winner for the 2014 Silver Dollar Nationals. Scott, you've been great to the front stretch, doing the Legends of the Dirt Series 2 years ago, helping us out with the meet and greet last year. It's great to see you in victory lane, man.
Yeah, it feels good. You know, this is really one of the races that I think will be considered one of the crown jewels of the sport. You know, he keeps adding money to the first place and through the field. You know, any race is $30,000 or more to win is something we want to be sure that we can say we conquered in life. So, you know, it feels good to be able to pull it off.
I'd like to say talk about your car and get your analysis on it, but I think it's pretty simple. Led from the very start. Every time you came out of turn 4 on a restart, you just had a 4 or 5 car lead. Was there any worry in your mind that you weren't going to win this thing?
Not really. You know, again, the beginning of the race, I set up for the end of the race, and I kept looking and kind of seeing, you know, I never did see nobody's nose, you know, and I knew when I led early and wasn't threatened early, and I knew I was set up for the end, that I wasn't that concerned at the end.
Scott Bloomquist, 2014 winner, took home a $30,000 payday. You're going to be the first guy to come back next year and do it back-to-back?
Well, I'm pretty sure when we get home, we're going home from here, that we'll document everything pretty good. And I'm pretty sure I'll be able to come back just like I am now.
Got a big crowd here, fans. Give him a big old cheer!
Yeah! He had a huge crowd standing around him, and I got to give him credit. He was sitting on his four-wheeler with his dog, oddly named Buddy, signing everything that people brought to him. I mean, people were bringing him moonshine. They were bringing him
did you
shots.
see the moonshine on his car?
Yeah.
The old smoky Tennessee moonshine.
Of course, he couldn't drink what they brought to him because, you know, he's got to take care of his sponsor. But
I think after everybody left.
They kept bringing him more and more stuff, and he's sitting there just drinking and having a good time, so that was really cool. Then walked over to second place, Brian Birkhofer's pits. This is what Brian said.
Talking with Brian Birkhofer, come runner-up tonight at the Silver Dollar Nationals. Brian, second place run tonight. Looked like you had a car on the high side. Did she go away from you at that last run?
Well, that last restart cooled my, I couldn't steer it really as like I was prior to that, so then it was just a matter. Then, you know, I was trying to kind of defend second. I don't want to lose second. When you restart, you got to pick inside or outside. So then I just couldn't get through 1 and 2 like I was prior to that. I just got tight. So I moved down and started to rubber just a little bit. And I was like, well, if I can just run a momentum line and keep Jimmy behind me and take second place money, you know, that's all it was. I had visions of maybe getting to Scott, and then the caution come out, and then it kind of changed everything. So gave him clean track, and he was pretty damn good anyway.
Is it tough to kind of concede the win like that when you feel like you're so close to it?
Well, honestly, I think we had a top 5 car. I'll give us that. I don't think we had the best car, so, best car needs to win the race most of the time. So we need to get better. Obviously we're knocking down top 5s, top 3s a lot, so I'm really happy about that, and we just got to go home and do some more homework and try to make it better.
Hey, second place here at the Silver Dollar Nationals 2014. Get a win next year, right, for that $32,000?
Yeah, it's I think we ran third the first year. We won the second year, and we were running well last year and got crashed, and come back and get second. So I like the place and pay good money, and they're good people.
All right, Brian Birkhofer, good run tonight, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And then so that was Brian Birkhofer. I guess I should kind of lead into that a little bit better. Brian was definitely coming on that at the end of the race with about 14 to go. A caution, the final, what ended up being the final caution of the night came out, and it cooled off his tires. He was making that high side work.
He was making the high side work, and early in the race, I was noticing the 777 of Landers, and then I believe it's Landers, and then the 19R, of course, of Gustin. They had the high side working really good in the first part of the race. But you could just tell by the end of 80 laps who was using up their tires and their cars. And it seemed to me that at the beginning of the race, I was clocking everybody with a radar gun, 91, 95 mile an hour. There was only 2 guys running in the 90s at the end of the race. That was Bloomquist and Birkhofer. And I kept sitting there thinking to myself, guys, save your equipment. It's an 80-lap feature.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always thought Bloomquist was really smart. You know, you set your car up when you start the race, you set it up really heavy, really tight, whatever you got to do. You know, he was setting it up like he was getting ready to finish the race, you know, so
well, and that's what he echoed in his interview. He said, you know, when we set it up for the end of the race and when I was able to lead at the beginning, I knew I had it. I knew I had a really good shot at it. So that was really interesting to hear. Sat down with third place Jimmy Owens, and all of a sudden the wind came out of nowhere. But here's what Jimmy had to say.
Had a real good car. You know, just traffic and being behind cars, clean track mean a lot tonight. And we wasn't able to get in a clean track. You know, once we was up second behind Birkhofer, and he kind of snuck by me there. It was just a tricky track to get around tonight.
If you would have gotten past Birkhofer, kind of secured him behind you think you could have caught up to Bloomquist tonight? He had a good car. Do you think you could have got him?
He had a good car. You know, I was second for a while and had an opportunity to catch him and didn't have any for him.
Got third place. Not a bad thing here at the Silver Dollar Nationals.
Not bad at all.
Got that wind sock that I'm going to make sure I bring with me everywhere now, because there wasn't a lick of wind most of the night.
No, it was gorgeous. And in the last 5 laps, all of a sudden, here comes the gust front.
I'm standing on the front stretch, and I'm trying to block the wind with my chest as I'm holding the recorder.
All 12 inches of it.
To Jimmy, I've got a pretty wide chest. I don't know if you've noticed. There's no muscle to it.
I don't stare
wide.
at your chest.
Oh, please. We've been at Kansas City together in a hotel room. I've seen your long gazes. But I'm trying to block the wind as I'm trying to hold the microphone close in. I'm trying not to look like I'm coming on to Jimmy Owens, but it wasn't working very well. And needless to say, he wasn't having any of it. Did not get a chance to talk to Billy Moyer, but I did want to make a mental note. As I was walking around earlier in the pits, people pick that man's brain so heavily. I don't know how many times I saw him just walking around, and he was doing the hand motions of how to run your car and where to set it up, and how to do this and how to do that. And he was talking to vendors, and he was talking to sponsors. I mean, that man was busy. I'm not surprised that I didn't see him at the end of the race, because he probably went to his bunk. He had a long day. But we did get to sit down and talk with Jason Fegers out of Bloomington, Illinois, the 25F machine. Started third, finished fifth. This is what Jason had to say.
All right, Jason Fegers. Apologize. Came in fourth? Fifth. Well, we'll take it at that.
Yeah.
Good run for you tonight. Started up front, able to maintain, hold a position. No, you lost a couple. I think you started outside pole.
We started third. Yeah, we were good. I mean, I was just trying to ride around there. These long races, it's hard to know how much abuse to put on that right rear tire, and ours was pretty tore up there at the end, and I didn't think I was abusing it, much early, but the car to the handling just kind of kept getting worse and worse. I think a lot of it just had to do with fuel burn off, and we probably should have made some different adjustments than what we did, but we'll know for next time, but to get fifth against probably the four best in the country right there and ahead of me, it's can't really complain.
Is that a little bit of a chest puffer? I mean, yeah, you took home fifth, but you took home fifth with some pretty big talent.
Yeah, there's a few wins at the World 100 in front of me there, yeah, I mean, if you're going to get beat, I guess you might as well get beat by the best in the business. So, your car was good. I mean, like I say, I think we could have made it better for the long run there if we had to do it again, but I mean, yeah, that's good. Like I say, fifth place, this place is a lot of good cars here, and it's a good finish for us.
Heard you got to go down and check out our main sponsor's track a couple of times this week as you were here for the Silver Dollar Nationals. You went and tried your luck over at Joe's Karting.
Yeah, we went stopped over there Wednesday. My crew guys, they all love to go-kart racing. Of course, they think it's fun to beat up on the fat kids. Since I'm the heaviest one, they usually beat me. But man, those guys over there were pretty awesome. They got out some faster karts, and they actually raced with us. And some fans actually saw on Facebook, came out and raced against us too. So it was pretty cool. And plan on hopefully we can get back there next year. Hopefully we got a day off like we did, and we'll definitely get back there and tear it up again.
Do you remember what your fastest lap was?
Man,
I'm sure if we leave it up to my co-host, Buddy, he'll say he's got a faster lap.
Oh, I'm sure it wouldn't take much to get a faster lap than me, but I don't remember. I was pretty happy with it there for being a lot heavier than most of them guys. But my crew guys, they're pretty stout. My one guy, he's real good. But it was a good time. They stuffed me under. I actually got under the wall. I don't know if he told you about that. They parked me under the wall. I was under the tires, stuck wide open. My shin was bleeding. It was something. So it drive me dirty.
Isn't there a rule for the crew not to hurt the driver?
Well, we kind of thought so, but they kept blaming it on Sullivan. He was with us too. They said he put my guy into me though, but we were getting pretty rough, but it was a good time, all in fun.
All right, 5th place here tonight for the 2014 Silver Dollar Nationals. Maybe not what you wanted, but it leaves room for improvement for next year in that $32,000 payday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our second time here, and I just love this track. It's an awesome place, and good to see so many fans. And we'll be back. Hopefully come back every year that they have this thing. So hopefully it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And one of these days, I hope I can get that thing and get a win under our belt here.
No, you're moving up the charts, so you'll get there one of these days. Jason Fegers, thank you very much, bud.
I got the name wrong right at the end. Fegers. My apologies. But yeah, and that dang win.
Names.
Oh, it's sad, isn't it?
I'm telling you.
This is why I like having guys like Ben Shelton on the show, because I can say his name right every time. Even though I can't get his job titles right, I can say his name right. So I guess that's kind of an even thing. All right, and then what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, are we getting ready to wrap up?
Well, we'll play Ben Shelton, and then we'll come into and then we'll go into turn 4.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you, you take away the racing for the Silver Dollar Nationals. Overall, what'd you think of the setting, the vibe?
I thought I know this probably isn't the answer you're looking for, but your question reminded me of it. Man alive, did Steve do a fantastic job on that track. And I thought everybody's mood was very exciting, was very excited to go out and race when they saw they had a very quality track that was going to give them a wide, very good track to race on.
Well, I went up to Steve last night. I told him it was one of the best surfaces, if not ever, that I've ever seen at ID. I mean, even at the end of the 80 laps, when you walk across that track, it was still hammered down.
Yeah.
A lot of it was rubbered up, but there was still a lot of tack to it. But the one thing I noticed, everybody was in a good mood. Mm-hmm. Everybody was in a great mood. And I tell you what, when they're running 4 wide and it's like every 20 yards, the big boom firecrackers are going off.
I tell you what helps with good moods, it not being 105 degrees for 3 straight days. That helps put people in a lot better
And here
mood.
we are today. It's supposed to be like 95.
Yeah. Ben Shelton caught up with Ben at the end of the race, and this is what we talked about.
All right, so we've talked to Ben Shelton about 18 times leading up to the Silver Dollar Nationals. Now it's time to talk to you after the Silver Dollar Nationals. We're standing in the pits. Talk to you about the race. Bloomquist had the pole, and he never let it up. Was there anybody that was going to get him?
Well, the box score is going to show Bloomquist 1 to 80, but it wasn't that easy. Lap 66, the caution comes out. I think if that caution doesn't come out, Brian Birkhofer may have been your winner tonight. Brian was really good on the top. Scott was on the bottom. It was 2 distinct different grooves. That caution killed Birkhofer's momentum, and he self-admittedly after the race said, I just never got my momentum back, and I missed my marks, and it took away any chance I had.
It's kind of rough. Everyone was looking forward to that end of the race battle. That last looked like it was going to be about the last 5 laps. We were going to have a great battle, but still, you can't take away from anything from the race. Yeah, like you said, the box score is going to say Bloomquist led it all and dominated this race, but there was a lot of great racing throughout the field.
Absolutely, and really last year set us up for failure this year. Last year was so excellent that anything short of a 4-wide photo finish was going to be a little bit of a disappointment. And if you take last year and you throw it out in the garbage and you just look at this year, you're going to say, wow, what an event this was. And I think anybody that wasn't here last year and saw this race tonight, or if you were here last year, you're still going to say, I got my money's worth and I'm coming back next year.
Absolutely. We hope to see you next year. We hope to talk to you more in the season.
Absolutely. I love the place. It's about 12 hours from home from Memphis, but I love coming up here. Fans are great. Drivers are great. And the track is fantastic. You guys really got a fantastic facility right here in your backyard.
You can catch him on Dirt on Dirt. You can catch him at the World of Outlaws Late Model Series. You can catch him, well, just about it. You get to a dirt track, you're probably going to run into Ben Shelton. Appreciate all your help, bud.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dan. Thanks for what you guys do. We'll see you next time.
All right, we'll see you.
I ran into a fella. He was sitting right in front of me. You got a picture of the other guy too, by the way. But right as that last caution comes out, he leans back and he says, "Boy, I'm sure glad my truck broke down." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, I'm an over-the-road driver. My truck broke down. I noticed there was a dirt track race going on, so I walked over here, and holy cow, am I glad my truck broke down." The other guy was Hank Williams from Kansas Jr. 3 years ago.
Not the real Hank Jr., but if Hank Jr. ever had a twin brother, this was it.
I said, do you remember me and my co-host? And he says, no. And I said, we thought you were Hank Williams. And he goes, oh, you two. All right, we're gonna try to wrap it all up in turn number 4. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, take time, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Quaker Steak and Lube is heating up the menu with bold new sauces and fresh new flavors. Try the Southwest Fajita Salad, Steak on Steak Burger, or What the Fudge Bar Jar Sundae.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
This week's young gun is Bradley Blackburn Jr. out of Goshen, Indiana. Bradley races at Mottsville Speedway, M40 Speedway, and New Paris Speedway, all in Indiana. At 15, Bradley has been a hobby stock sportsman racer for the last 3 years and has already claimed 15 feature wins and 2 track championships, both at Mottsville Speedway. Bradley has designed his paint scheme to honor kids with cancer and help raise money to keep fighting this horrible disease. Bradley also works with the Relay of Life in the Goshen area to help raise money and cancer awareness. Find Bradley on Facebook at Bradley Blackburn Jr. and show your support. The Front Stretch is proud to name this week's Young Gun Bradley Blackburn Jr. If you have a young racer that you'd like featured in the Young Guns, email a complete bio to frontstretch590@gmail.com and your driver could be chosen as a Young Gun.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the Front Stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
You heard Brady Blackburn Jr. is our young gun for this week. If you've got a young driver, the rules are pretty simple. We try to keep it under 18, but next week's young gun is 20 years old and is a kart racer, so we're going to feature him. It's Dylan Lynn. And then we've got another kid. I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name, buddy?
Nope.
Okay. It's okay. You're busy texting. We're not doing a show here or anything.
Yeah, we're not working.
Yeah. So if you've got a young gun, and we're trying really hard to keep this segment alive, but the tough thing is that we're just not getting bios. We know they're out there. We're just not getting the bios.
I will tell you what. Next week's, I can't remember his name, and then as soon as I walk out the door.
If you weren't texting, Dylan Lynn is next week. I had to back everything back a week.
Oh, okay. And I know in 2 weeks we have a young 6-year-old out of Atchison, Kansas coming up. That's Dakota Earls.
There we go.
There you go. That's the name. But yeah, get us the bio. We just want 4 or 5 paragraphs. What do they race? Where do they go to school? How old are they? Stuff like that.
Talk about what they do outside of school.
We want to know
any
about these
charity
young
events
racers.
they do. Are they into other sports? Is racing a carrot for the parent to make sure the kid's homework is done and done right? Let's get any kind of wins you do. It's really once you get to type in this thing, it's really easy to do. Send it to frontstretch590@gmail.com. We were going to try to get to Andrew and play a little bit of a preview of the SLMR series coming to Crawford County Speedway this Thursday, but unfortunately we're a little bit short on time, so we're not going to be able to do that. But Turn 4 brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. Obviously, NASCAR is off this weekend, but you can catch all the normal NASCAR action on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube. You can find Bike Night on Wednesday nights, Classic Car Cruising on Thursday nights. It's all you can eat wings, $12.99. All you can eat wings on Tuesdays. Then there's, I think, kids eat for free on Mondays. They've got some fantastic deals. Head over to Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. Get a full list on their Facebook page of everything they have going on. Anything else we needed to talk about?
Yeah, just real quick. We didn't get to talk about like we normally do on Wednesday nights, and I know we got just a sliver of time left.
Mm-hmm.
The last weekly race at Crawford County, you said Friday night. I was at Silver Dollar Nationals. You said, it might have been a low car count, but the action was hot.
I have never seen a mod feature like that before, including the USMTS race last night. There's been, I think there's been some frustration on the local fans there because it's been the Abelson-Sobbing domination at that track. And I got to talk to Chris Abelson in the pits last night with Dylan Smith's pits, which, we'll have to talk about next weekend's show. But these guys were trading paint carefully, not rudely, just rubbing a little racing. They were leaning on each other. They were doing a great job. And it was absolutely a fantastic show. I could not believe how great of a show they put on. And that really turned the crowd around. The Facebook blew up as I was driving back. I'm getting Facebook posts about how great of a race that was, how awesome it was to see those guys go back to back in battle. All right, we got to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. We'll do it next weekend. We're going to have Dylan Smith joining us, and then and I can't remember who the other interview is, but Jimmy Small will join us to preview Iowa Speedway. We'll be back next weekend on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he's talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Become a fan of the Front Stretch on Facebook or email Dan, Buddy, and Andrew at frontstretch590am@gmail.com.